Right, here's a question on the interest-only loans and sinking funds. Just a little intro here that's straight from the textbook. It says in the reducing balance loans we've studied so far, the repayments are off the interest as well as part of the principal. So what it's saying is when we make a repayment each month, that money's coming off the interest but also coming off the principal. And so therefore your principal slowly gets smaller and smaller, therefore your interest amount gets smaller and smaller, you get charged less. And we've seen that come up in a lot of the examples. This strategy here is called interest only and sinking funds. So in here it says an interest only loan, the repayments repay the interest. The repayments do not pay off any of the principal. So this is where it's a little bit different. So what happens is over that time, if you've borrowed some money, say I've borrowed 420,000, this is for my home loan, and I'm paying back approximately say 330 in interest. So normally when we pay back, our payment comes off both of those. But now what happens is, if this is just the interest here, what we're doing is we're only paying back the interest. So when we get to the end of our time period, we still have the principal owing. So what happens is we have to save this up in a sinking fund. So this is where it's different. So we have our paying off the loan and that we only pay off the interest, and then at the same time we're saving up our principal in a separate account. And that is why you'll see two different interest rates often in these questions. It says at the end of the loan period, the principal is repaid in a single repayment. So we get to the end of paying off our interest, and then on the last day that's paid off, we then transfer this money over to pay off the principal that we have to pay as well. And this account here is called your sinking fund. Now there's some terminology that's come up here. It says the book value of the debt, so the money owing, at any time is the difference between the original debt, so what we borrowed, and the value of the sinking fund. So that will come into this question over here. Let's look at the example 11. It says Kelly's borrowing $10,000. She agrees to pay 9% per annum interest over 3 years, making monthly interest-only payments. Kelly will also make monthly deposits into a sinking fund in order to repay the principal. So there's two accounts going here. One is the loan and one is the sinking fund. And so the time period's for 3 years. So the sinking fund pays 6% per annum in interest compounding monthly. And you just got to be careful in these questions that you separate the two out. So she's got 9% per annum over 3 years, interest only, payments, that's the loan. And then over here, she's got the sinking fund at 6% per annum compounded monthly. And you just be careful that you can see the two loans in there and separate them. So part A says, let's find out Kelly's interest-only monthly repayment. So this is the monthly repayment on just the interest. That's what we're trying to find here. So down here in the solutions, we've got our formula, I equals P times I times N. There's the principal, we've got the interest rate as a decimal, and it's 1/12 of a year. Times them together, and that's how much she has to pay. So this is what's coming off this interest-only loan, $75 per month. Then at the end of those 3 years, you'll see, so at the end of these 3 years here, she'll have paid off the interest and she'll still owe the principal. Now, part B says, calculate the monthly deposits she must make into the sinking fund. So this is like the savings account. And if you read up here again, the sinking fund pays 6% compounded monthly. So we go down here and we find the monthly deposit, which accumulates to $10,000. So in the future, down here, we want $10,000 because this is a savings account, not a paying off a loan. In the future, we want $10,000. And then we want it over 3 years, 6%, this interest rate, make sure you get the right one. Present value currently is nothing, and you work out the payment. And here we've got the payment is $254.22, always rounding up our PMT, knowing that the last payment will be slightly lower because we've taken that into account. Part C, what is the total cost to Kelly? So the total cost to Kelly is what she pays into this interest-only account, and then also what she pays into the sinking fund to pay off the total amount. So Kelly's total cost is the total interest paid, which was $75 for 3 years each month, and that's her interest-only account. And then she also paid this much for 36 months, the 3 years, into the savings account. So they're her total payments, which gives you $11,851.92. Okay, Part D, what is the total paid to the lender? So who's lending us the money? Now, the total paid to the lender is all the interest received. So that's this first account, the interest that goes into here, into the interest account, interest only account, and then the principal, because you know you're borrowing the interest, you're paying the interest, and you're borrowing the principal, so you've got to pay that back in one go. So this is the principal that she's borrowed, and this is how much interest she had to pay, so add them together. Now, the last part E, account for the difference between the amounts in C and D. Now, in part C, that's how much Kelly had to pay, so that's her interest only account and her sinking fund. And then in part D, that's what's paid to the lender, which is this amount. So look at the difference between these two. So find the difference between them, and you can see that the difference is $848.08, and that's because her account that she has earned her some interest. So her sinking fund basically earned her this much interest, and that's why there's a difference between them. And that's the point of having the sinking fund. You put your money into the bank account, the bank pays you for having that money in there, so you don't have to pay off the whole amount, you get to save part of it up. You only have to save part of it up, and the bank pays you the rest in interest. So you're trying to get the bank to really pay for itself. All right, let's move down a little bit. One moment. So now we're looking at part F. Back up here in the question, calculate the value of the sinking fund after 1 year. So thinking about what the sinking fund is, it's the savings account. So we find the future value after 1 year, which is something that you guys can already do. So if we go get the calculation, do the calculation, you can see that we have $3,135.95 in the sinking fund after 1 year. Then part G says hence, so use the previous answer to now answer this one. Hence, calculate the book value of the debt after 1 year. Remember, back over here, the book value is at any time the difference between the original debt and the sinking fund. So if you look up here, look down here, the book value after 1 year is the original debt minus the value of the sinking fund after 1 year, and that difference is 6864.05. So this is the book value after 1 year. If they said what's the book value after 6 months, you do the same thing. You'd find how much is in the account after 6 months and take it away from the original amount, and that will give you the book value. Now, I would recommend you put one of these on your cheat sheet. Have a look at doing a question, see how you go, and send me some questions if you have them. Good luck.